Hello and welcome to Filmi Ladies. We're back to our Superstars series, and today is Tabu,
Yes.
who I've never heard a bad word about, honestly. I think
Yeah.
we've vaguely discussed how the general consensus is she's not much of a dancer, but
Yes.
otherwise, I feel like she is beloved, respected, perhaps a teensy bit feared,
Yeah.
as a formidable screen presence. And as I have been thinking about her filmography, I just feel like now, I mean, and she's a little bit older than we are, but not by much, like fully Gen X. This is a woman. This She's
Yes.
been away from being a girl for quite some time. And in fact, to me, I so much think of her as a woman when I look back at her earlier filmography and she is a girl. I find it very discordant and I don't like it.
Yeah.
But she has just gotten stronger and stronger and stronger, I feel like, as her career has gone on, although I'm not super familiar with her early career at all. Although I did try to
Mhm.
watch her debut film with a named role. You know who directed and co-starred in that movie?
No, and which movie is this?
Dev Anand.
Oh, yes, I did read. Wasn't she his discovery?
Yeah.
Our patron saint strikes again.
We thought we were free and clear of Dev Anand, but we are not. And I did not know this, and I was shocked and a little disgusted, but mostly shocked.
Just one of the many gifts he's given us, Beth.
And thank goodness we love Tabu. We would not want the world without her. But I just thought, oh dear God. And I did try to watch No Javan.
Okay.
I found it unwatchable. And she plays his daughter, thank goodness. And she's
Okay.
very young. And apparently, according to Wikipedia, she is raped and killed in the film. And I was like, nope, nope, not watching that. Nope, nope. She's so baby young. I can't. I can't. So I didn't.
Oh, good Lord.
Other things instead.
Good choice on your part, I would say.
What are your kind of major big picture thoughts about the woman of the hour?
I love that you said that she's also a little bit feared because you know how I love these make believe scenarios where I'm magically having tea with like Wahida Rahman and eating
Sure.
cheese sandwiches with Madhuri Dixit. Like, this is never going to happen, but I have one sided parasocial relationships with these women. I would be a little bit scared if I went to tea with Tabu. Like, I feel like I would have to check to make sure that the cake wasn't poisoned and the tea didn't have arsenic in it. I kid. I mean, I don't think Tabu is a person with murderous impulses. She's actually got a squeaky clean reputation. Um, it's just the characters that she plays. Every time her characters are being, they're so multi-layered, like an onion. Like, there's the onion, and then you peel away a layer, and you peel away more layers, and you just don't know what you're getting. And so, or like a matryoshka doll, like the Russian nesting dolls, where you don't know what you're gonna get. That I'm always on edge when I see her in movies because I never quite know if I can believe her character. Even when her character is being wonderfully nice and lovely, I'm just not sure what I'm gonna get. And I think that's what makes her a little bit like dangerous to me. And I feel like she's almost made a career out of playing like femme fatales. I mean, those are
Yes.
not the only roles she's
Yes.
played, but those are her most famous ones,
Yes.
right? Like, my favorite Tabu movies would probably be Makbul and Haider. She's a femme fatale in both, right? I also really love her in Andhadhun, although I wouldn't say Andhadhun is like one of my favorite films of all time. But again, she plays a femme fatale in that one. So when she's occasionally playing like a really like nicey nice good girl, I'm like, I don't know if I buy this. You're probably gonna try to stab me in your sleep. I mean, in my sleep. So I love the fact that in an industry where women often are just playing eye candy and they're so like they're so replaceable. You can just put any like 20-year-old heroine on some 60-year-old Khan's arm and it's fine. Nobody cares. I love the fact that she is not replaceable in her films. I can't imagine anyone else playing her roles in Makbul or Haider or Andhadhun, or even in softer, sweeter movies like Kandu Konde, right? I can't imagine anyone else playing the earnest, straight and narrow older sister
Mhm.
of Aishwarya Rai's more impish, mischievous one. So I love that with Tabu, it's always a gift that keeps giving her performances.
Where is the point in her career where she starts being unexchangeable?
I think
I
maybe with
read,
Matches.
yeah, when I read about a lot of her earlier films, they sound completely interchangeable,
Oh
disposable,
yeah,
flower pot, like horrible.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch
And
any of those because I didn't want to spend my precious time on that.
so I actually did, because so I watched two movies. I rewatched Haider because I love Haider, but it is not a movie I can revisit over and over, just like Makbul and Omkara. But I really wanted to rewatch it because I love her performance as Ghazala Mir, and she's so good. But then I also wanted to see what Young Tabu was like, because I'm not that familiar with Young Tabu either. So I saw a movie that many of my Tamil friends absolutely love. It's called Kadhal Desam, and it's from 1996. It has music by A.R. Rahman. It has Abbas in it, whom we love and adore from like Kandukode, Kandukode, and other such films. And I was like, I want to see what 1996 Tabu is like. And she's very sweet, but at its core, this movie is a bromance. It's a college bromance between these two friends. It's very stereotypical, and as pretty as she looks, you could replace her with anyone else. It's fine. She's very lovely in the songs, of course, because they don't involve a lot of dancing. But I really am glad that she got to do Gulzar's Matches, because if she had just continued down this path of doing the Kadal Desam kind of roles, or, like she's done that David Dhawan movie that I thought she was kind of terrible in, which is Sajan Chale Sasural. I can't believe I'm saying Tabu was terrible in something, but
I can believe it. Some of these people
yeah,
don't know how to do this kind of stuff.
yeah, like in Sajan Chale Sasural, it's such a zany, goofy, silly movie, and it has Govinda and Karishma Kapoor. It's a love triangle, and Govinda and Karishma Kapoor are so perfect together, right? And Karishma is not the strongest actress around, but she understands the assignment. She understands what she's there to do in that David Dhawan movie. She's the perfect contrast to Govinda, and they're just goofy and fun together. And Tabu just looks confused throughout. Like even in the song Tum To Dhokebaaz, she just looks very puzzled. It's kind of like, her GPS shut down and there were a lot of detours and construction happening in the roadwork, and now she's like in a completely different state. Yeah.
The guy in the corner who can't get out.
Yeah, she is the Roomba. Yes. She just looks very uncomfortable with the proceedings, and I'm like, dang, they should have just put Ravina Tandon in there instead of Tabu or something. So I think if she had continued down that path of doing like the cute eye candy movies or the fun college romances, or David Dhawan movies or something, then I think her career would have been over very quickly, because I don't think she has the dancing skills that she could have managed it. She also towered over all the heroes of that time. She's not that tall. She's like 5'9", but
He
still
seems taller.
she does seem taller, right? Like I think she has a very long torso, and like her neck is really long. It's like a swan like neck. She also, and I absolutely do not mean this in an ageist or a disparaging way, but she also always gives off an older vibe than
Mm.
she is. You know what I mean? Like even in Kadhal Desam, she's a college student, but I don't buy her as a college student. I almost buy her as like a newly graduated teacher.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like there's just something very like mature about her. Like her head is screwed on straight. She doesn't have that goofiness. Um, so I'm very glad that she did Matches, because she showed people like her intensity and her amazing dialogue delivery, and how she's so good in that film. And I think that probably set her off on this trajectory of doing these movies, which with Vishal Bharadwaj and these other directors, Sriram Raghavan, and all of these people that really were able to take advantage of her talent. What are your thoughts?
I know so little about her early career. I really don't feel I can say this might be the person about whom I am the least qualified in our series to really say anything. Honestly, compared to like the scope of her filmography,
Mm,
still active, and again, like my impression is that she just gets better and better with age
yes.
and is being cast in better and better things.
Yeah.
So I just feel like maybe more than anyone else, like she's not in Machis until she's 25. And by that
Mm,
point, Neetu Singh has retired.
right.
I know that we didn't do her for superstars, but like some of the people we're talking about probably, if we looked really hard, had done their best and or most famous work by that time. Or maybe
Because most of those heroines also debuted at like 16.
right.
Like Madhuri, Karishma, not so much Juhi and Aishwarya, but like Madhuri and Karishma debuted at like 16 or 17. So, and they did like 5 films a year. So by the time they were 25, they were like known.
And that's one of the reasons I think something like Crew was so fun because Karina too has gone from strength to strength, I feel. So seeing those two together, now they're
Yes.
10 years apart in age, but like they're following some similar, or at least some not dissimilar trajectories in terms of
Mm-hmm.
more juicy and more interesting roles as they go along and persisting when others have sort of stepped back, like
Mm-hmm.
Kadhal, who's kind of between their ages, right? Charisma. So these two are just so it was so great to see them together with their sort of parallel-ish, different, but parallel, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't feel like I know enough to say, but I'm with these later things in particular, like the last, I don't know if we can really say later when I'm talking about the last 20 years, but you
You're
know,
right.
like Life of Pi was so long ago now. That was another thing.
Right.
It was 2012.
Yeah.
Like that movie just came out. It did not. And
Yeah.
for sake, it's quite a while ago. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
it's 19 years old now.
Yeah. I still remember watching Namesake. I saw it in this tiny little like almost like vintage movie theater, like single screen movie theater in Chicago. And it was just a very small, tiny little audience. And I remember I had texted friends of mine saying, "Hey, there's an Irfan Khan and Tabu movie coming out," because like I love both of them. And I was like, "It's called The Namesake. Do you want to come?" And my friend responded with, "No, that sounds depressing." I was like, okay. And so me and my husband went to see it. And I was sobbing in the movie theater, and like the American couple next to me were like, "Is she okay? Like, is she should we say something?" And I was just like
Yeah.
bawling.
It's our love of
Yeah.
that film is well documented on this podcast, but it is worth
Yes.
naming in this conversation, obviously, because she is superb in that.
Yeah.
When I think about my favorite of her films, that's definitely
Um,
that's on my list for sure. Um,
Its namesake is actually my favorite romance of all time, even though like it's not categorized as a romance, but like Ashima and Ashok Ganguly are basically couple goals for me. Like Ashok Ganguly is the green flag man, and Ashima is just like she's so darling. I love that couple so much. But another really good Irfan and Tabu pairing is actually Makbul. Oh, their chemistry is like through the roof. Like when,
you chose that for
yeah, for Lust, I believe.
right.
So there's all those scenes, right? Like when you're kind of in Pankaj Kapoor's like lair, and there's all these like underworld people, gangsters, and everything, and then Irfan just with like tiny little micro expressions and stuff. Like he'll just look, and then Tabu will look at him, and I'm like,
Yeah.
kill me now. Just they're so stunning together. They're my favorite pairing for Tabu is probably Irfan because
Sure.
they both have that like quiet intensity about them. They both have this like they don't talk too much. They're not these like bubbly golden retriever people either in real life or on film, but they both say so much with so little words. You don't have to give them too much dialogue, and they just say everything with their faces and their eyes. They're just so masterful together. And I think that's one thing where I do feel like Tabu either lucked out or she made very good strategic choices, is that I think she came in at a time where she quickly figured out that if she continued to work with the Khans, she was not going to get anywhere,
Mm.
right? Because if you work with Shah Rukh, if you work with Salman, if you work with Amir, you're not going to get that author back role that you want. And that is why you need to go into a Chandni bar where you're the hero. You need to go to matches where the actor is Chandrachud Singh that nobody has heard of, or what is that guy, Jimmy Shergill, right? Or you need to go and do Makbul and Haider and things like that. She's also done like Tamil movies. She was in Iruvar, tiny little part. She was in Kandukonde. There's a Telugu film of hers that is supposedly very popular. It's like a big blockbuster. I wanted to watch that. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen her in Kalapani either, but she's done a fair bit of like regional work down south as well. And I really haven't seen too much of it, which is also why I wanted to watch Kadhal Desam. But I think she also quickly figured out that she needed to be paired with more like actors rather than stars, because the actors are willing to move aside a little for the woman to have a really good role.
Mm.
And the stars really have no interest in giving up even an inch of screen space to you, right? I was actually reading about Haider, and apparently Vishal Bharadwaj really had to convince her to take the role because she plays Shahid Kapoor's mom in the movie. She's only like 10 years older than him.
Yeah.
And so she basically was like, I'm 10 years older than Shahid. You want me to play his mom? And Vishal Bharadwaj just convinced her to do it. And she did it ultimately because the role was so good. I'm so glad she did. But there's definitely some scenes where you can tell she looks like a very young mom to have a son of Shahid's age, but she's so fantastic in that film as well. Yeah. Have you seen Chandni Bar?
No, I considered it for this and then decided on something else instead. But
So which movies of hers did you watch?
so I rewatched part of Andhadhun because
Ah,
what's not to love, but I didn't end up finishing. The film I focused on, I do not know how to pronounce this word. I apologize. Astitva?
oh yeah, Astitva. It's a Mahesh Manjrekar film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of skimming around the options I had with English subtitles, and that one
Hmm.
um came up as her getting nominated for a lot of acting accolades and
Okay.
started, so I chose it, and I'm glad I saw it.
Yeah. She's really good in that movie. There's like a tiny little nod to Nigeria in that film.
I caught that. I was like, oh,
Yeah. I know. And that's one of those movies where it's like one of those few films where she's playing like this very straight and narrow character, right? I like her quiet sort of intensity in that film. Do you want to tell our viewers what the story is in case they haven't seen it?
sure. So I had never heard of this film that I remember anyway. So if you are like me, let me encourage you to seek this film out. It is the story. So Tabu is when we open is playing a I'm gonna do a bit of guessy here. I think she's about 45,
Okay.
47, something like that. So again, we are seeing a movie where they flash forward a person to an age that we have now seen them at.
Hmm.
Did not look like this when she was
All
40,
right.
50. She looks I mean, sidebar, Taboo smolders like nobody's business.
Yes.
And whenever I think about most beautiful performers, she should be at the top of my list.
Yeah.
Breathtakingly gorgeous.
Hmm.
And in this very like womanly, strong, um, like Suchitra Sen to me, like do
Hmm.
not cross.
Yeah.
She's just and she's stately and elegant
Yeah.
and just um earthy in terms of that like just such a rooted presence of and
Hmm.
I'm bedazzled by her.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she plays this mild-mannered but fairly kind of reserved married mom has little glasses on. I don't think they put shoe polish in her hair, but she's very de-glammed. And we find out that her husband um or she and her husband Sachin Kedekar,
Kedekar.
who I've seen in other things, but
Right.
they are married. They have a son who's about to get married, and his fiance is Namrata Shirodkar.
Mm.
You're like, oh, she's never a person I look forward to seeing, but I
Right.
thought she was okay in this. She's barely in it, but she's the kind of special guest. And it is spoiler, it is revealed that Tabu's character is sent a letter that says she inherits a bunch of money from a character played by Monish Bell, who we've seen at the beginning as an older man writing his will. We don't really see who he's left everything to, but we find out it's to her. And her husband starts to wonder why. He was her music teacher a long time ago when they first married. And spoiler, it turns out that their son is actually Monish Bell's son.
Mm.
Had this brief affair with the music teacher when they were first married because her husband was traveling all the time for work and ignored her all the time. She repeatedly says to him, I'm lonely. I'm miserable without you. What am I supposed to be doing? You work all the time. And he's not just working, like he's going to Nigeria. He's going to
Right.
or and all sorts of out of town all over the place. He misses their wedding anniversary, even though she has asked him especially to be home. Um, and it is then revealed that that the son was Monish Bell's biological child. And there's this amazing scene at the end where
Hmm.
you, they basically decide their marriage is over. The son has behaved like a total shit to her. And before she goes, unleashes on her husband in this very
Hmm.
controlled but very passionate, emotional, but also very logical, thoughtful, whatever way. And it is an amazing performance. That scene,
Hmm.
why she got a lot of awards for it. I will have to say to you, I thought the first half of this movie was rough. I was not impressed by
Mm,
going on kind of in the first half, but as it ramped up, then I was definitely on board. And you see a lot of flashbacks to her with Monish Bell when
mm,
they were younger, and I thought they had great chemistry. And there's this really interesting scene where he is in the white clothes in the rain, and she is staring at him.
hmm.
The water runs down his face and his body and everything. I'm like, you don't see that very often. So like that
Yeah.
nice little like female gaze kind of moment. Um, and there's a scene where he comes to visit to meet the baby because he knows it's his, I'm not sure how he knows, but he knows it's his son. And that's also a really interesting emotional encounter because it didn't go the way I thought it would. Um, but anyway, so it's this remarkable story about a married woman's infidelity. We find out
Hmm.
later that her husband also had multiple affairs, but those are not
Hmm.
named. We don't see those women. We don't really hear much about them, but it's one of those like, well, what's good for you? Why is it not good for me? And all this kind of.
Right.
And he is revealed to be also a total shit.
Yeah.
See his face falling as she lets him have it at the end of the movie. So you can see he's absorbing some, at least, of what she's saying.
Hmm.
There's no making up. She leaves. And
Yeah.
leaves with Namrata, who breaks off her engagement because her fiance has been so awful about the situation to his mother. She's like, I don't want to marry into this family where the men are so awful like this. I am a new thinker. I am part of the new generation. I will not stand for it. And she and Tabu go off together.
Right.
It's amazing. There's also there's the other part of this movie is that the husband's best friend who he hasn't seen for a while has recently who's been a lifelong bachelor but has recently married a woman who is herself divorced. They come to visit and they have some conversations about what they observe of this other couple. And she is like, I will not leave here until we help, Tabu with her problem. And your friend is a piece of shit, and because he is. And it's
Right.
quite remarkable. So I really encourage people to watch this.
Yeah.
And it was one of those movies where I was thinking, like, okay, could we have cast somebody else in this role if we had wanted to? I mean, honestly, I feel like Urmila probably could have done it. Um, Ronnie's a little too young at this point, I think, to have this sort of gravitas for this role. But I
Hmm.
really, you know, I personally have not seen Ravina Tandon do anything that I would say she would
Oh,
pull off, but
no.
I don't know. I think Urmila would be my next best. She's also a little
Mm,
young. But it was great. And honestly, I think
yeah.
you could almost skip the first half if you wanted to, if you get a plot summary. The plot summary in Wikipedia is fairly detailed, so you could kind of read and then, I
Yeah.
mean, it's not painful to watch or anything. I was just kind of like, I don't, why is everyone so kind of like awkward and but then you realize, and you also, I had this moment of like, why is Tabu in this? Like, why are they wasting her? They're not. You just haven't seen it yet. We're
Right.
like again the
It's
spoiler.
kind of a slow burn.
Yeah, it is a slow burn. Well worth it. I was really
Yeah.
impressed. I'm not surprised that she could do so well at something like this, but I was surprised that this story got made.
Right.
Thrilled that she was the one who got to voice a lot of what it.
Yeah. I think when I was at the NAFA Marathi Film Festival and I was in the masterclass with Mahesh Manjrekar, this is the movie he had referenced where he said that he was basically like, if the actress I have chosen agrees to do it, I'll make it. If not, I'm not making it.
There.
Because I think when he wrote the story, he probably knew that the person really had to be able to carry that monologue off. Because you're so right. It's like, I think in the wrong hands, I feel like that monologue could have come across as very shrill,
Mhm.
or there's something very, oh, it's Mr. Hugo. Hi, Hugo. So cute.
Cat has entered the conversation for those.
Yeah. For people who listen to us on Spotify, this is what you're missing when you don't watch us on YouTube. You don't see the myriad pets that come and like interrupt our conversations. So cute. It is very hard to make my point when Mr. Hugo is looking over there just begging to be cuddled. So cute. Well, I'm gonna look away from him. What was I thinking? Yeah, I feel like it's hard to do that monologue because some people would just play it really shrill, I think, and then some people might just underplay it. She's just so, she has this like molten rage.
And she's not sad. I think some people would have
Right.
edited it as sad or something like that would have crept in. And she's she has moments earlier of like crying in front of
Mm,
the gathered family to talk about what's going on. This is not an easy thing for her to go through or to say.
Mm.
And when she decides to have the last word, ooh, she has it.
Yeah. The movie that it reminds me of, just in terms of like that monologue that is so satisfying for the viewer, is actually Saudagar, the Nutan and Amitabh Bachchan one, because it's the same thing. It's like it's a different story, obviously, but even in Saudagar, it's like she's mild, she's sweet, she's mild, she's sweet. Amitabh is a complete shit from beginning to end, and then that last monologue, she just unleashes her fury, and it's so cathartic for the audience. Like, as a director, as a writer, and as a performer, you really gotta let go at that moment. Like, you gotta let that dam burst, and because the payoff is so great, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really loved it. I'm so glad that I chose this because I was kind of not flapping around exactly, but she's got a hefty filmography. And when I was
It's
thinking,
huge.
not everything was easily available to me with English on it, but even of those choices, I thought I was like, maybe I should rewatch Hera Fairy
Mm.
because that's a film I think people seem to still, at least for a while, people really loved that film. Maybe not. I don't
People were obsessed with it, and I'm very much in the minority of not finding it funny.
I don't remember finding it particularly funny, but I was like, oh, maybe I should try one of these like very mainstreamy kinds of things.
Yeah.
I went for this instead, but it was substantive but not depressing.
Right.
It's rough here when you work in the arts and history in the United States these days. I couldn't take on something too heavy.
Yeah.
This was a great choice because I would, file this under feminist films. I would file,
Right.
or at least somewhat woman centric, which as we've discussed,
Hmm.
fairly the same thing, but here they are. Uh, and she just what a star. What a star.
Hmm. Yeah, she's amazing. She's very much like the sort of the successor to like Smita Patil and Shabana Azmi.
About that, right? Like it would be I was trying to look, have she and Shabana ever been in the same film? Like that would be a really interesting pairing. So I just pulled up IMDb.
Hmm. I don't feel like I've ever seen them together.
They have not.
Okay.
They've not, other than, Om Shanti Om, which does not count.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would make a remarkable like sisters or mother-daughter or boss and
Yeah.
assistant or like
But I almost wonder if it wouldn't work though, because I almost feel like, when you have two people who have sort of like a similar flavor, it's too much of the same.
I'm willing to try.
Yeah.
Try this sample, please.
I think it could work, but I also think it could be like too much of jostling for the same spotlight, maybe. I don't know. um I think the movie that I was most disappointed by, like the Tabu movie, she was not disappointing, just for the record. It's just the writing and the direction, is a movie that we have recently discussed, which is Meenakshi. That movie was
Yeah, that's not her
kind
strongest.
of a dud, yeah. But I mean, like, she tried, poor thing,
Oh,
she
yeah.
tried, and
And it's
she
not only
looked.
her fault.
No, it's not her fault at all, actually. It's the fault of a painter who thought that he should become a director. Although I can't fault him for trying either, right? Like,
Second time, I think we can fault him.
okay. But she looks so stunning in that movie. I mean, I would only recommend watching the songs of that movie because she looks stunning in every single outfit she's worn. Also, can we talk about her hair? I think she definitely belongs in our top hair ladies, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I especially in Andhadhun. Okay. Remember
Mm-hmm.
Andhadhun towards at near the beginning when again, spoilers, please. If you've not seen Andhadhun and you want to be unspoiled, leave now. We won't do all the twists, but we might do a couple of them. There's the scene where so he has come to play the piano at her apartment. He has seen the dead body. He asks to go to the bathroom, so she escorts him to the bathroom, and then
Mm-hmm.
the other man is in there. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, he has to pretend that he has not sensed the other man being there. And the other man sort of gestures at Tabu through the doorway when she comes
Mm.
Ayushman back out. And she does this kind of like, she kind of looks at him and goes, she puts her hand up like this and does this simple, like, bus, like, I'm out,
Right.
or like, I got it, like, stay where
Like,
you.
back off.
And I rewound it 3 times. It's a very simple, but a very majestically conveyed gesture. And she does a kind of a little like tilt of the head with this thing. And I actually tried to get a grab of it for our thumbnail. I ended up with going a different one for Andhadhun, but um, I was like, how is she doing that? It was so,
Yeah.
and in a film where, in that scene, I felt as a viewer, even as my second time, a little bit just, there's a lot going on in that scene, and you're thinking about, okay, who's observing what, and what are they pretending they've observed and not observed, and sensorily, how is this working? And like, okay, so you can't see, you could probably still sense that there's someone else in a tiny bathroom with you because you would understand them to be breathing and stuff, but like,
Right.
sake of the film, we're going with it. And you're like, there's a corpse out there and blood and broken glass and everything. Like, what's happening, and what is each person's motivation in this exact moment, this very dramatic, high stakes moment that is also being played with humor.
Right.
There's a lot going on. And yet, like, watching her do this very everyday gesture was still just like, and that is a woman.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
She's she's done these like these tiny tiny little moments that she does even in Haider, where I remember there's a scene where she's sitting next to KK Menon, who by the way is so good in Haider. Like he's
Is
so
is
punchable and I hate him so much, but he's so good. And Shahid Kapoor is so good. Like after rewatching Haider, I was like, I want to do an episode on Shahid Kapoor, please, and thank you. Because like while I have never considered myself like a fan, I just think he's so talented. He's so good in Haider. So anyway, in Haider, there's that scene where she's sitting next to her paramour. She's sitting next to KK Menon, and she's wearing this like green chiffon dupatta, which is the most perfect shade of green for her, just this forest green chiffon dupatta around her head, like a hijab almost. And she's wearing these like dark sunglasses and just like dewy makeup and like a little bit of lip gloss. And she's looking straight ahead at like whatever's happening. And then she looks at him, she just tilts her face towards him, smiles a little, just this cat that got the cream smile or cat that got the mouse smile, and then looks right ahead and keeps watching. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what you're planning, but it's bad. I would not be underestimating you. But like, I feel like I would absolutely be one of those incredibly stupid men in one of the films that her characters inhabits that is so bedazzled and blinded by her beauty, by her stature, by her grace, by her hair, just this very statuesque kind of thing that she has this kind of like nobility to her. Even in Chandni Bar, where she plays like a bar dancer, she carries herself in a very like regal way, like I'm a queen, you know. I absolutely would be one of those men that she, just takes for a ride, and I would be like, thank you. She'd rob me blind, and I'd be happy about it. Yeah, but that's the other thing that she has in common with Irfan, right? Like I know we compared her to like Smita Patil and Shabana, but to me, there's so many similarities between her and Irfan as well, where they both like communicate with their faces, with their eyes, and they're kind of these masters of micro expressions. And in a movie tradition that can sometimes be so loud, they're very silent, and their silence speaks volumes, but is also scary because there's this anticipation and tension of, I know she's going to say something and I'm not sure I want to hear it.
And the
So,
ability to hold attention through silence when things are loud around is quite a skill.
yeah, like it's hard to intimidate this woman, isn't it?
Seems like
Yeah.
it. Well,
Hmm.
let's detour for a moment to her personal life. Like, she doesn't seem to care.
No, she's very happily unmarried, unpartnered, unbothered about it. She seems perfectly happy about it. She doesn't really talk about her
Right?
personal
Basically, she is partnered. She's been in a very long-term
with Nagarjan.
adulterous relationship, and
Yeah,
nobody, but nobody.
she's never like come clean about it, but apparently she does own a home in Hyderabad, and she spends like a vast majority of her time in Hyderabad when she's not shooting, because that's also where Nagarjun lives. And apparently they've just been together since like the beginning of time, the entire time that he's been married, kind of like the whole like Dimple Kapadia and Sunny Deol thing. Like they've been together for like eons, and he's been married the whole time. I mean, she's a divorcee, but he's not. And but the thing about her is that she doesn't talk about it. She also doesn't like to talk. I mean, I can see why, because there's no way she could talk about it and spin it to look good.
Oh.
Yeah, and then she also doesn't really talk about like not having kids, whereas in contrast to her, Urmila is very openly and proudly child free. And Vidya Balan has talked also about like choosing not to have kids and stuff. And I feel like even with Tabu, like I have no idea. Like, does she not, I mean, not that I care, but it's kind of like, do you not have kids because you don't want kids? Or is your situation like sticky? I'm not sure. But yeah, there's not a ton known about her personal life. She also doesn't talk about her connection to Shabana Azmi either, or her relationship with Farah for that matter. I just don't know a lot about Tabu beyond the rumors of her and Nagarjan. And she's also like very close friends with Ajay Devgan, which is something I've never understood, but like they're apparently close friends.
So I was tempted to watch one of the Drishyams, which I have not seen,
I
because
haven't seen
was
them.
cop is a very appealing thing. If I'm gonna watch a cop movie, that would be, but I don't, I find him was just like scratching at my hair. He's a head scratcher to me, and
Yeah.
I don't, not motivated to spend any time in one of his films, even for her. So I was like, nah.
Yeah. So when I was looking through her filmography and I was trying to figure out which movie to watch, and I intentionally stayed away from Chandni Bar just because so much has been said about it that I didn't want to like repeat that. Um, so many of her films are with Ajay Devgan, and so many of her films are with Sunny Deol. And these are not films that I have seen because they're kind of terrible. So she's not in the Sunny Deol films that are like really good and really famous. She's in the very I'm doing this for the paycheck films that Sunny Deol has done. So I was kind of like, I don't want to watch any of this stuff. Also, in a Sunny Deol film, actresses pretty much don't have anything to do. So I was like, are you going to be wasted in this? So it was literally a process of elimination for me. I was like, I'm going to watch at least one regional film of hers. And I know that my Tamil friends are like obsessed with Kadhal Desam because it was like it was the moment. And I thought the movie was okay. Like, I don't get the hype, but also I can understand why people like it so much because it's like this nostalgic, like college bromance, and these two friends who adore each other and then fall in love with the same woman. And they have great chemistry, the two actors in it. And the music is by A.R. Rahman. It has Mustafa Mustafa, which is a song I have long loved and did not know it's from this film. Um, and the only parallel I can come up with Kadhal Desam and why it's such a thing is, have you seen this movie called Rehna Hai Tere Dil Mein? It has Madhavan, Dia Mirza, and
Yeah.
I forget who the other actor is, but it's is it Saif? I think it might be Saif. Um, there are people who are obsessed with Rehna Hai Tere Dil Mein. It's this very specific, like younger Gen X, older millennial generation, like this tiny little sliver of people that are obsessed with Rehna Hai Tere Dil Mein. And the first time I saw that movie, I was like, what is the big deal? I don't understand. Part of it, of course, is the music. Like there's the song Zara Zara by Bombay Jayashree, which is just, I love that song and I love Bombay Jayashree's voice. But Kadhal Desam had that same vibe for me where I feel like you had to be there and you probably had to be a Tamil person from Chennai to get it. But I'm glad I watched it because now finally when my Tamil friends talk about Kadhal Desam, I can be like, I saw it, I got the t-shirt. So yeah. But yeah, she's pretty in it, but it's like, what is the point of this movie? What are some movies of hers that you really like? Apart from, I know you love the namesake.
Yeah, I mean that and Haider, of course,
Hmm.
and Makbul, of course. I was actually just talking with the friend last night who I want to have Makbul be his intro to Indian cinema. So let's
Ah,
get that lined up for next time we see each other. Um, I mean, I really enjoyed her in Bulbulaya too. I'm not going to say that's one of
oh,
my
I still haven't seen it.
favorites, but like she's, you know, in in her roles that are not nothing flower pots. I mean, I might like some of the films more than others, but she is always amazing to watch. So it's kind of
Yeah.
hard to choose. That's one reason I was kind of tempted by Drishyam or something like that. I was like, well, what do I think about a more masala-y thing?
Mm,
Like her as much in some of those, and I think I probably do. Like I haven't seen, I was just kind of looking at some of her things. Like I haven't seen Fitur, I haven't seen She's in Golmaal again. I have not seen that.
Right.
What else have I mean, there's a lot of these I haven't. Oh, I really loved Kufia that she was in a couple
Oh,
of
right.
Crew. I mean, Crew is a delight, right? Like we've talked about a lot of her movies on this podcast.
Yeah.
We are fans. So but then she's in Bola. That doesn't look good to me. I don't
Which one?
Bola.
I don't even know this movie. Is this
Another
an Ajay Devgan?
yes.
Oh, that's why I don't know it.
Yeah. So, I just if it's a movie that I think looks good and she's in it, like I will full speed ahead watch it and she seems amazing. But like I've resisted, we were talking just the other day about an episode where you were saying you might want to watch Fitur, and I was like, oh, please don't make me watch that. I'm
I'm
scared.
actually going to watch it soon.
Like, please don't make me. But I also thought about, trying to watch at least the end of Fanas, and she swoops in on the
Mm.
Deus Ex Machina there, and I thought maybe, but I didn't bother to do that. But yeah, it's kind of hard to pick, right? There's a lot of strong, strong things there. And I know nothing of her non-Hindi work at all other than Kandu Konde and Kandu Konde. And so I'm glad that you tried one.
I think you've seen Irrever, though, right?
I have not, but
Okay, yeah, but I mean, her role in that is smaller, but still,
thought about
yeah,
rewatching
I
Become. Like I remember thinking she was good in that and having her as a presence in an Amitabh film. Like she can hold it.
oh, Chini Kam, right? Yeah, I've seen it. I hated it, but that's only because I hated Amitabh in it. It's not a reflection on her. I just thought he
I think
was,
the story, so it's
yeah.
to watch. I don't really remember why I watched that. I think it played here or something, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at her filmography right now, and I think the things of hers that I want to see, I do want to see Fitur. I don't have very great expectations of it. Haha, pun intended. Um, I only want to watch it because I want to see how she plays Miss Havisham. Just because if there was anyone who would make a good Miss Havisham, it would be her and Rekha, right? Like, there's only two people that come to my mind. So I want to watch it for her, and then I do want to watch that. Telugu movie of hers that's really popular. I also really want to watch A Suitable Boy, but god damn it is hard to find because I love the book. I read the Vikram Seth book after my 10th standard board exams because I had that summer off, and I got the tome from the Indian library because I was in Qatar at my auntie's place, and my auntie worked at the Indian High Commission. So they had a library, so I went and got it. And it's so giant, and I spent all summer with my nose in that book
Yeah,
because summer in Qatar is hot. So I was inside in air conditioning, eating ice cream, and reading A Suitable Boy. And
right.
it's really hard to find everywhere. I'm actually going to see if my public library has it on DVD because otherwise I don't know what I'm going to do. But I think she probably would be really good in that as well. But
Yeah.
mostly I just kind of want to see some of her, like, see some more of her regional films, especially that Telugu movie. I'm trying to find out what it's called. Oh, also, I don't know if you watched the Dune movies. So I saw Dune. It was okay. I don't understand the hype. It was fine. But she's in Dune Prophecy as Sister Francesca. And while I don't really have a lot of interest in watching Dune Prophecy, I might maybe watch it just because I like her, but I don't know if it's a worthwhile use of my time given how long it's going to be.
Right.
Um, yeah. How do we? So I know that a lot of people love to talk about how versatile a particular actress is, right? And it is often considered like if you want to be a heroine, you do need to be versatile. You need to be able to do all of these things. And I think one thing Tabu really struggles with is comedy.
Mm.
Like she just seems uncomfortable when she's doing it. She seems confused, like, why am I here? What am I doing? I appreciate the fact that she tries it, but I also feel like at some point she was like, you know what, I ain't cut out for this. I'm gonna not like bother anymore. I'm not even gonna try. Is she funny in Bhul Bhulaiya too? I haven't seen the film.
I don't remember her being particularly funny. I don't remember
Okay.
part of her character, but I could just be not remembering. So don't
Mm,
quote me on that. But I don't feel the comedy is around her particularly
yeah.
that I remember.
Is there any kind of like dream role or any kind of genre or anything that you would like her to explore?
Oh, she's funny in Crew though.
Oh, she's funny in Crew because
Yeah,
it's like a drier, more
yeah.
sarcastic kind of humor.
Not comedy, a drier comedy.
Yeah.
and not and like there is physical stuff happening in crew, but it's
Yeah.
and again she gets to be kind of the boss, which I
Yeah.
respect. Um,
Yeah.
I would happily see her join the Brahmastra universe,
Yes.
some more. I could see her in the Yashraj spy universe, which is a phrase that makes
Mm.
me laugh every time I think about it.
Yeah.
Not because I don't like those movies. I do. It's just funny to me somehow. Um, I feel like based on what I've seen her choose to do most recently, I'm probably game for anything that she wants to do. But I do love the idea of her being in more um multiple women leads
Mm.
because she was very good sharing the screen with those two people. And as we've commented, like Kruti does not get lost in that movie the way we
Yeah.
might. Like that was a great cast for those roles. And like I would love to see. I know when we talked about Karina, I was thinking how much fun I would have seeing her do more heist films, even though I had just
Mm.
seen her, but I'm like more, more. But yeah, Tabu is like plotting, has a scheme, all that kind of
Hmm.
maybe in any format would be great. But also I can buy her as someone who, sort of responds badly to the vicissitudes of life as well. Like
Mm.
who is for whatever reason not able to kind of grasp their opportunities and shoot make choices and stuff like that. So
This is partly why I'm so interested in watching her as Miss Havisham in
right,
Pitur,
right.
because she almost always plays a person who refuses to be defeated by life. And she's always so like active, for lack of a better word, in her films. Like she's not a passenger, she's the driver, if that makes sense. Like
Right.
she is the person that is egging Makbul on, and she makes things happen. So the idea of this person just sitting in a decrepit house all day and just like bemoaning her fate, it just seems so contrary to me. But I can also see how she would make it non-caricaturish.
I have never read Great Expectations, but
Mm,
putting it in a different time and place might change some of this. But
mm,
does Miss Havisham choose at some point to give in and fade and, wither away? Or does, if those are accurate things about what she does, that's my understanding.
right.
Like, and so, you know, I think you could probably argue that depending on the setting, at least, the Miss Havisham character does choose. She just chooses the meekest option or whatever. I don't know, because it's easier than trying to overcome it.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. So that will be interesting to hear your take.
Yeah. Mhm. I was trying to think if there's anything I really want her to do. I would like to see her play a detective. Not quite in the Buckingham murders kind of way, because that was a little too bleak for me. But something that is maybe not as bleak. I would enjoy seeing something like that. I would also like to see her in like some sort of role where she's like a mentor or a teacher
Uh,
to people. Like Rekha has done roles like that, right? Where she's kind of like a leader of women, sort of. And I would like to see her do something like that. I think she could be very cool in a revenge drama.
Absolutely.
She would
Absolutely.
be so
I
good.
mean, that's Andhadhun. Well, I guess it's not a revenge, but it's
I But I was thinking like masala revenge
oh yeah, yeah,
drama,
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
like Khoon Bhari Maang esque,
Yeah.
or like Ek Hasina Thi esque, something like that, where she's like going for it. Um, there's apparently a very terrible horror film starring her. It's called Hava. I've never seen it. It's supposed to be really bad. And when I was on Einthusen, I was looking up Tabu movies. I saw it, and for like one split second, I was like, "Should I watch Hava?" And I was like, "No."
Yeah, I can see her in a horror film too, and like Boogalaya, like it's not
Right.
horror really, but I can see her doing something like that.
Okay. Do you want to see her and Shah Rukh in like a romantic movie at some point? Because the only film I've seen them in is like Satya, where like for two
Yeah,
seconds.
that is an indelible little moment to me for some reason. I really, really buy them as a like
Yes,
that one little thing. I was like, oh yeah,
I know.
sure, sure, absolutely.
They gave us a little taste of that and then took it away from us. And I feel so cheated, Beth. I'm like, you gave me Shah Rukh Khan and Tabu as a couple. in this movie for like 2 little seconds, and then you took it away from me, and I never got it again. And I'm very upset about it. So I want to see her do something. We keep talking about how we want like romances of like middle-aged characters or older characters. And she and Ajay Devgan came up with a movie recently. I think it's called Auro Mein Kaha Dum Tha. It looks terrible. And it bombed at the box office. Nobody talked about it. Nobody saw it. It just disappeared. It's on 9,000. And if it weren't for Ajay Devgan, and also if it didn't have such horrific reviews, I probably would have considered watching it.
Huh. I'm looking at the poster. Yeah, I don't remember this film at all.
Yeah, no one talked about it. It came and it sank.
I mean, this would have been the time to watch it, I guess. I can't imagine I would ever particularly choose this, but
Yeah,
if you've seen it and you recommend it, let us know.
yeah,
I am now intrigued. Oh no.
yeah.
Oh no.
No, do not watch Auro Mein Kaha Dum Tha, and do not watch Hawa Beth. I implore you.
I don't know. Well, you have to take the bullet on the horror film because that's your specialty.
Yes, this is true. This is true. I can watch Hawa, and then as a palate cleanser, I can watch the actually great Garam Hawa, which is also horror, but of a different kind. Um, okay, we have come to our favorite segment, which is the Filmi Ladies ice cream shop, where we have wonderful rotating flavors and seasonal flavors apart from our usual flavors that we always offer. Do you have an ice cream flavor for Tabu?
Well, two things came to mind. One is I think this exists. I don't think I've ever had it, but some kind of like very high quality cinnamon.
Oh.
So it's like got some, it's not a like spicy in terms of hot, but it
Hmm.
is again, it is a not to be trifled with. It is what it's about, and it's like got a directness to it. But also you could like have it with a scoop of a couple of other things as well. Like you could combine
Mhm.
it really well, I think. So I don't know, I'm kind of thinking cinnamon, but then also as I was thinking through this, something leapt to mind, which was I don't bother with ice cream. I go straight for scotch.
Oh my God, that is crazy. Because when you were talking about the cinnamon, I was thinking of mulled wine.
Ah, yeah.
And then you said scotch. So we clearly are along the same line in terms of like alcoholic beverages,
Yeah.
right? Like you're thinking of her as like a Glenfiddich or like a Lafroig
Yeah,
or
and
like a
I do
really
not
good
like
single
scotch.
malt.
The wrong person to ask, but again, like something that is very definite,
Yes.
definite to me. But I don't see her as sweet, which is why I'm not even stuck on ice cream for this. But like I was trying to think, are there any things that would go? What else would be in the ice cream shop that's not sweet? And I was like, oh, I don't know, but
I know, because I came up with it.
oh, good.
So when you've been to India, have you ever had gola?
No.
Oh, you probably shouldn't, though. I mean, I'm Indian and I don't have gola at this point. Okay, so gola is basically shaved ice, right? And it's like a popsicle, and then you dip it in the thingy, and then you like suck on it or whatever, like a chuski. And so the gola my cousin and I would get when we were growing up, we would always get raspberry because
Mhm.
that's what all the kids get. But all the grown-ups in our family would always get kala khata. Kala khata is the definitive older person gola flavor. So kala khata is basically, I believe it's jamun. So it's the black plum. So it's very, very tart, which is why kids don't like it. And kala literally means black and
Yeah.
khata means sour. So it's black and sour. And it's
Oh,
like this dark, it almost looks like Coke or Pepsi.
yeah.
And it's very tart, it's very sour. And if you're a child, you're gonna hate it. And it has like a little bit of like spicy taste, not spicy as in hot, but spicy as in masala.
Uh-huh.
Add like chaat masala added to it.
Nice.
And she is a kalakhata gola.
There you go.
Like you go to juhu chapati and you eat chana bhatura, or you eat like bhel puri and you look at the waves, and then you go to the gola cart, and if you're me you get raspberry, and if you're tabu you get kalakhata.
I love that. And it's so good.
It is dark, it is
Yeah.
it is not making any
Right.
apologies for what it is. You will eat it and you will like it.
Except it sounds like the one difference there would be that that sounds like it is not for everyone. But again, as I was
Yes,
like, I've never heard a bad word against Taboo. Everyone
this is true, this is true.
like
She's
I don't want to say she's popular exactly because I think that
mm,
that means something about being more massy than I see her as being.
right.
But I do feel like she's beloved. So
Yeah.
I don't know how you kind of reconcile those things in an ice cream shop offering.
Right.
Our ice cream shop might need a liquor stand, but that's our liquor license.
Yeah, I'm all for this ice cream shop with the liquor stand. Okay, like we're grown ups and we live in reality, and so we need our alcohol. Okay.
A good ice cream stand is firmly planted in reality.
Yes. Yeah, you're right though. She is. I've never heard anyone say a single bad thing about Tabu, and I almost even wonder if it's fear that stops people. Because can you imagine if you pretend to love movies, or you pretend to love Indian movies, or you say you love Indian movies, right? It doesn't have to be pretense. And then you say, yeah, I just don't think Tabu's all that. Can you imagine the potatoes and the tomatoes people are going to throw at your head? Like, that is just not a statement you can make and get away with it. You will lose all credibility if you say that.
Yeah.
So it's like saying, I don't like A.R. Rahman's music. It's like,
Yeah,
are you deaf?
yeah, yeah, like no one says that.
You can't say that. I mean, you could, but then it's like harakiri. Like no one's going to take you
And
seriously.
yet, like, so this makes me want to look up reviews of this thing that she did with Ajay Devgan recently. Like this movie sank without a trace. So maybe there are bad reviews in the bad reviews. Maybe she is
Of
also
her.
that. I don't know. So now I'm tempted to kind of find out more, maybe not by watching it, but just like was she critiqued
Yeah.
as well as, you know, part of it. So
I'll just go on Reddit and like type "Auro mein
great.
kaha dum tha." First of all, that title is so long and complicated enough. Like, make titles easy to pronounce. But yeah, I'm gonna look that up and see what people had to say about her. Um, okay. Do you have any parting thoughts on one Ms. Tabassum Hashmi?
I would love more recommendations about what to watch,
Yes.
especially of these things sort of like before 2005 or so, like in her early career. Machis and Chandi Bar, I know I need to watch.
Yes.
But other than those, what are some things I need to watch? And
Things of yore.
any language is welcome, but like when she's younger and like perhaps not found herself in inconsequential roles particularly yet, like are any of those actually a gem that I just
Mm,
that maybe people don't talk about anymore, or like it didn't do well, but it was actually quite cute. I'm very open to that. So please.
yeah. I would like to get more regional film recommendations of hers. I already started with, I've seen Kanakonde Kanakonde Iruvar as well as Kadhal Desam. I've seen Ala Vaikunta Parumulu, but I don't remember her in it. I was just so besotted with Allu Arjun the whole time.
Is she dubbed in all of those or just in Kandu Konde?
She doesn't speak Tamil.
Okay.
I believe she speaks Telugu because she's from Hyderabad. So I think she's dubbed in her Tamil. She's definitely dubbed in Kadhal Desam, because when she opened her mouth, I was so confused because they gave her a sweeter voice, but she has a raspy voice naturally. So it's the same thing I do when Rani Mukherjee starts lip syncing to a song. Like you'll be watching Kuch Kuch Hota Hai and she has her normal Rani Mukherjee voice.
Yeah.
And then Alka Yagnik starts singing and I'm like, wait, I'm confused. Like at least give her Sunidhi Chauhan,
Yeah.
right? Like at least try to match the songs, the voice, right? So were you saying something about the lip sync?
Oh no, no, I just we've talked about this a bit before. Why are you casting people who do not speak the language
Right.
in the film? It just makes no sense to me at all. I'm not a film director or producer or casting.
Right.
So if you have thoughts on this again, let me know. But like there are thousands of people who could do it.
I know, but if they did that, then we wouldn't get Kandukonde Kandukonde, where both Aishwarya as well as Tabu are dubbed.
I mean, and I think they are lovely in that film, but I can also imagine there were Tamil actresses who I've never heard of who would also have been lovely in that film, right? Like
This is true,
I don't,
but I'm an Aishwarya fan. I can't.
but
I can't contemplate a parallel universe where that movie doesn't exist, Beth.
there are movies that are simultaneously made in Tamil and Hindi or whatever, right? So like
Yeah,
make a Hindi one.
right.
Everyone, this is another movie everyone loves. Like make a Hindi one.
Yeah, the Hindi one was Pride and Prejudice, and it was terrible. Well, it wasn't Hindi; it was English.
Yeah, it's English.
Right? Yeah. No, wait. That was Pride and Prejudice, and this one is Sense and Sensibility. Viewers, if you haven't seen our Jane Austen episode, we did one where Amrita came on, and we talked about 3 Jane Austen films that were adapted into Indian cinema.
I drew the short straw and had to do Bride and Prejudice.
You did. Because I called dibs. I was like, I'm doing KK. Y'all figure it out. Y'all battle it out in WhatsApp. Okay. Well, I think that concludes this episode of Tabu. This episode of Filmi Ladies. Let us know what you think and give us your recommendations. And also, what ice cream flavor do you think Tabu is, or is she just some like beverage that we haven't thought of? All right, we'll see you next week. Bye.